Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumen and today we're having a look at Wolcen, Lords of Mayhem. This is a dynamic hack and slash action RPG with no class restrictions. You choose your path as you level up and you play your character the way you want to play it. You are one of 3 survivors of the slaughter of Castigath. Rescued by Grand Inquisitor Heimlock, you were drafted into the Republic's army of Purifiers at a young age to be trained in the military academy and become perfect soldiers against the supernatural and demons. Now I actually read that part because I feel like it is quite relevant going into this. It sort of explains the way your character looks just a little bit. You'll see what I mean when we get to the appearance customization, but before we jump in there, I'm going to say the usual thing. If you'd like to do a deep dive and discover more about the game for yourself, you can find some links below, and as always, the timestamps are your friend. Jump between the different parts of this video, find what you're looking for, and leave satisfied. We're going to start by looking at the male customization and then the female, and in each of those we will discuss the weapon selection and the way the classes work briefly. Just briefly. So, with that said, let's jump in and look at the male customization. First things first, you get to pick a face. There are only 4 faces to pick from here. I will once again mention this is a top-down action RPG, and it's actually pretty zoomed out. Right? I want to just tell you that right now. You don't actually get very close up to your character all that often. You will see it in cutscenes from time to time, but like, I feel in many cases they are being pretty generous here. However, because you are not picking a pre-made class at the start, it would be cool if they gave you, you know, some customization options. So here we are, and here we go. The faces you get to choose from, they are varied enough. They sort of cover, let's just say, enough of the bases that need to be covered. I'm going to say, again, that's why I read the little lore snippet, they all look like a very specific type of dude. And it's the same thing with the ladies. That's the kind of character you're making. You're making an army man or army lady. And that's that. Okay? So, jumping in, just know that that's what you're going for. That's what you're being funneled into. Skin colors, you can use any of them on any face, obviously. They're pretty okay. They're pretty okay. I kind of like how dark they went, and I kind of like how, once again, light the lightest one is. And again, you can sort of do what you want with them. They give you a serve-in suggestion when you click on the character. You know, if you click on this guy, they suggest this skin color right here. But you can, obviously, do whatever the heck you want. Alright? So you can pick that guy with that one, this guy with this one, it's whatever. So there you go, that's the faces. Then you get to pick your eyes. I do like this system, and I think that they look pretty good. You can't really zoom in to see the eyes up close. You're just going to have to, you know, assume that it's correct. But they give you a lot of detail right here by just looking at the icon. You can see that they show the background of the eye. You can sort of customize the eye itself, the iris, the pupil, everything. There are a few different options here that will get you started on some pretty creepy looks if that's what you're going for, especially these ones over here. You can sort of customize them separately, left and right as well, as you can see. And if you pick these two, you know, it changes the face entirely. Like, it's a pretty big deal, you know. Because this game has angels, demons, and everything in between, you sort of expect stuff like this. And I think very early on in the game, you sort of discover a few things about your character that once again sort of let this all make sense a little bit. I like it, you know, so I can pick the dead, soulless black pits as my character's eyes, as I usually do. I try and sort of go for that with every game I play. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's what I do. But you get to choose these ones as well, which look like they have angelic fire in them. And then you get to go for these ones. And then all the normal colors over here. Or you can go for a mix, you know. It's like you can make yourself a half-breed by going for this one and that one. Yeah, cool. Let's do that, because why not? It's sort of risky, you know? Let's move on to the hair. Not a lot of hairstyles. I feel like that is an unfortunate situation. I think that, you know, based on what I've seen in both male and female, it would not have been a bad thing if they just shared all the styles between the two. 100%. It would have been fine. Would have been absolutely okay. Again, not a lot. These are alright styles. They suit the dude that we're creating here. Absolutely. But it's really just a pretty basic selection. You know, what I find kind of weird is you can actually pick a bald head here, but there's like not even any short buzz cuts or anything like that. You have very few long styles for the males. It's a little disappointing in that regard. The colors, on the other hand, are pretty cool. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. They give you a massive selection here, and I think that it is honestly more than enough. At this point, they could have just given you full RGB. They could have let you pull the little slider around. They could have let you add the proper gradients and the hues and the saturations and stuff, because the amount of colors that they give you here is just insane. It's like, I mean, look at this. Look at this. I will say, I feel like it sort of clashes a bit with the style of the game, and it also clashes a bit with the idea that I was putting out there earlier by reading you the lore and saying, like, yeah, you're making this army man, you know, you're making this dude hard life and all that, and that's why they look the way they look. It kind of clashes with that. It's like, you know, why the why the pink hair then? But it's whatever. Again, more options I will never complain about, ever. Not at all. Not even for a second. More, better. In most situations, that is just the case. So, next up we have the beard. There are some decent options here. Honestly, I think that this is once again a stronger point, and I find it kind of strange that there's more beards and facial hairstyles than actual hairstyles. It's a very weird situation. You can do this. You can click match colors, then it picks the hair the same as this one. And I think that the hair and the beard and sort of the whole look comes together beautifully. Like, yeah, I'm calling this guy beautiful because that's what he is. It fits. The beard's texture looks great. The hair's nice. This whole thing, it just works. You know, you can make a cool looking character that's awesome. And again, you can sort of go for all the different colors here. You can have them match, like I just said there. It's fantastic. It's just that there isn't really very much to work with. You can't make a smaller man, a more petite man. And I guess I understand in many situations for them, it's harder work, more effort, making a whole new body type and stuff like that. So I guess I understand that there aren't any body type choices, but like you could have at least given a bit more for the face. That's one thing I will say. So these styles and stuff, they are very nice, and they look great. It's just a pity there aren't more of them. The facial hairs, however, I will say this is like more than enough. It's cool. It's cool. They sort of give you a little taste of everything, and for real, like so much of this just looks great. Like this looks fantastic. Even when you make it like the white, you'd expect it would look bad. No, not in the least. This looks amazing. It's awesome. This guy looks fantastic. Anyway. That's the customization. Yeah, that's unfortunately the end of it. The next step is the weapon selection. Now, here's where I talk a little bit about the class system in the game. The way it works is you pick melee, ranged, or magic here. It very much explains itself. I'm not going to bother reading the little blips here. But what basically happens is you pick in these to just give you a starting point. You can see at the bottom here it says you'll be able to change your playstyle at any time by learning new skills and equipping other weapon types. That's basically it. You pick melee, you start with a melee weapon. You pick ranged, you start with a bow and arrow, like a ranged weapon. And you pick magic, you know, you start with a staff and some magical abilities. It's like, that's it. In the game, when you're actually playing, you have free reign. You can respec, you can change things up, and you can pick ranged here, and then 5 minutes in, you can decide, no, you want magic. Okay, maybe it's like 15 minutes in, but you get the idea. So, don't worry about this choice. You can, however, let it sort of funnel you into what you like to start as. Let it give you a good point for testing stuff. Let it just, you know, get you started on the right foot, basically. That's what you let it do. It's a suggestion. That's all it is. So you just pick the one you want to start with, and that's that. The class itself is a very fluid thing. You may have seen at the start, I put a bit of footage there of the skill tree. It's a massive thing. The way the classless system works is pretty cool. So there you go. Don't worry too much about the selection. Pick what you want here and just play the game. That's it. No worries. Next up you have the name, and that finishes it up for you. I will also mention that you don't start with this armor or these weapons or anything like that. These are once again just previews of what you could possibly have. Right. That is it for the male customization. That's all there is. We're going to jump on to the females now. As with the males, 4 choices for face, and while they do look a little softer around the edges, you could argue, they still have a certain look and feel to them, and that is like, that's that, you know? You have the 4 faces here. They give you skin colors that they suggest you take with them. These 3 have that skin color, that one has that one, but you can change the skin color to anything you want. I will say that the skin colors are cool. You can go very dark, which I really appreciate, and you can go quite light. It's cool. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's awesome. I would prefer it if we had a bit more customization for the face, or if at least there were more options, like double this maybe for the faces. But this is why I read that little lore section at the start, why I mentioned that these were military people. You were, you know, sort of thrust into a role. You are one of the army of purifiers. It's like, this is you. This is the bearing that you go in for. So just understand that when you go into this. Now, females have far less customization options than males because there's no facial hair option here. The eyes, pretty cool. I like the eye system that they have here. You choose left eye, right eye, and you can do them separately or together. You can't really see much of the color that you pick in, but you can see there are some that have, you know, the whites of the eye, different colors. You have the iris, the pupil colored differently. There are some with nice glows, as you will see in just a moment, like this one. And there are some that are soulless black pits of despair, like that one. I love it. I absolutely love it. So you've got some options, and once again you can mix and match, which is kind of cool too. Then we have the hair. The females have a massive selection of hair compared to the males, but I guess in actual fact it's also not that massive compared to other games. You know, I guess recently we've been spoiled a little bit. I'll say that with certain action RPGs that have come out, let's say Lost Ark, Diablo 4, stuff like that. You have so much in those games that when you see a system like this, you think to yourself, oof. But you must also understand that it's not the same. This is very much an indie game, and I will say that they are also letting you play a role here. And I like the role that we play in. I think it looks kind of, you know, oof, that's nice. But more options are always good. I want to say also, and I mentioned this on the male side, I really think that they should have just cross-pollinated the hairstyles. They should have given all of these to male, given all the male ones to female, because I'm going to be real with you right now. There's nothing about this hairstyle that says it's a female hairstyle. Even so, you know, they have it limited here. This one, for instance, I'd love that on the male characters. This one as well. Even though they have certain variations of these on the male side, they have far less. As an example, this one is on both, which I'm not quite sure about. So yeah, I would like to see that. I think it's a pretty simple thing to do. I don't know, if one of the devs ever watches this video, please make it happen, guys. Make it happen. So the hairstyles are cool. There are more of them on the female side. I was a little disappointed by how few there were on the male side. And the colors for the hair, fantastic. Like, this is just a awesome selection here. You really do have a lot to go with. And they look nice as well, which is cool. You know, no one's going to complain about that. The colors pop. They look good. So I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely happy. And one thing I didn't do on the male side was show you how nicely you can contrast things. I'll show you very briefly what I mean. The hairstyles, the hair colors, the eyes, and the skin together can actually allow for some really cool stuff. And I'll show you when I'm at the end of the video, in the outro. But overall, there are some limiting factors here, and there are some other factors that I feel really do let this shine. But that's about it for the customization. That's what you get to do. So when you're happy with this, you jump into the weapon selection, then you pick your starting gear. They make it very clear, your starting gear, and then they say at the bottom here, you'll be able to change your playstyle at any point to learn new skills and other weapon types. Basically, you pick in your starter weapon and your first ability, and that's like literally it. It's just that. You can change, you can switch up, you can be anything you want to be. So you can pick melee here, and then when you level for the first time, you can start going into ranged. Or when you pick up a different weapon, you can just start using that, and you can be a ranged character. It's nothing. This choice is literally just how you start. I feel like it's kind of an irrelevant choice, and it doesn't even need to be here. But I do like the fact that they're taking this as sort of like a teaching opportunity, and they're just saying, hey, you know, you'll be able to change your playstyle at any point. This is just for show or whatever. They're also getting to show you a few like options for armor and stuff like that. It's cool in that sense, right? It's cool in that sense. So don't worry about this choice. You can pick anything here and you can play anything when you're in the game. No worries. Your final choice here, or your final at least part of customization, is your name. You put that in and you are good to go. Now, that does bring me to the end of the customization for Wolcen. And what I want to do here, while I talk about this whole system, is I just want to show you that you can make some pretty interesting and unique stuff. You can make some, honestly, pretty frightening combinations that I personally think look fantastic. And you can bring a whole lot more flavor to your gameplay by just doing this. You can make like a drow, as an example, if you pick the violet eyes here. There you go. Check that out. It's awesome. It's actually fantastic. The hairstyle obviously could be more suited to it. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. You can also pick a really pale skin with a really light hair, or really, you know, pale with something darker here, like this, or just like go full bright and pick a hairstyle that looks sort of, there you go, and then the bright eyes. There's actually quite a lot you can do that's cool with this, and that is sort of what I want to push home here, is that while it is limiting, you still have a lot to play with. There is still some cool stuff here that you can do, and yeah, I believe quite firmly that people that want to make something cool here, and people that go out of their way to try and be unique with this stuff, they will probably be able to. However, I guess there are some parts that are a little limiting, and that is a little disappointing. The overall visual fidelity of the system, the characters themselves, everything about them, it's fantastic. And again, for the game itself, like, I want to just tell you, when you're in the game, this really doesn't matter. Not all that much. You know, I'm here to do this. I'm here to nitpick. I'm here to look at. I'm here to critique, right? And don't think that I'm entirely negative about this stuff. I think it looks awesome. It's fine. It is just a little limited. And it is something that if they wanted to, they could have addressed. They could have sort of fixed up, changed, whatever. But I guess with this being the way it is, they might just be signaling that it's not all that important, and your customization comes from the skills. Your customization comes from the unique build that you make, from the unique loadout of abilities, gear, and weapons that you have, and that's cool too. But hey, that brings me to the end of the video. So if you've been playing Wolcen, if you had played it at any point in the future, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? I'd love to hear. You know, with Diablo 4 coming out, I think a lot of people are jumping into all the other action RPGs and having a look at them. So yeah, if you did end up jumping into this one, please let me know what you think about it. Is it good? Have you been playing it? And all the rest. With that said, you can check back here soon for more. Give this video a like and share it and do all that other good stuff. Most importantly though, happy creating those characters. Happy that.